our senses, right? We can see, taste, touch, smell, and hear.
Until they came up out my forest, they looked into my room. I was only 4 years old, I didn't know what to do. I was playing muscle men with a friend, I think the dude was named Vernon. He saw the M16s and stepped away from the curtains, and they kicked in the door. This is the DEA, they saw my father, and then they fucked up his face, and they cruised up the stairs with their M16s. They busted into my room and scared the fuck out of me. I saw my mama, I said, what the fuck's happening? She said, we're busted. I said, what the fuck does that mean? She said, for growing the weed under the basement floor. I said, the plant that dad smoked. She said, but there's more. They're gonna take up our house. They're gonna take all your toys. They're gonna take away data. They're gonna put them in bars. They're gonna take all our money. They're gonna take all your cake. The next day was my birthday. I'm not being fake. These motherfuckers, they're called the DEA. They're called the CIA. They're called the NSA. And today, they listen to everything that you say, but you don't give a fuck. You just go about your day. You're not American. They keep a file on everyone, and we pretend that we're dumb. We sell all our metadata. It's worth more than a sum, but they don't give us back none because they know that we're numb. We got some stupid motherfuckers that just want to be safe, and they'll give up their freedoms, man. They'll give up their say. They'll spend $1 million on education just to join up the slaves. You're not American. Dangerous Thoughts!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. I'm your host, Manu Ntereme. Why can't I get that right after 50 shows? You'd think I'd be able to. That is my. That's my co-host right there.
Oh, he got me.
There you go. His name is Tyson. Last name Strausberg. I think he might be a Nordic. I don't know. I think he'd be better looking if you were Nordic. I hear the Nordics are like really hot, and you're cute. Not well, in a manly sort of bearish way, he's hot. But there's only a few people that like that. All right, so. This is Dangerous Thoughts. This is the podcast where I pick on my co-host, and we dive headfirst into the shadowy realms of reality. We explore the edges of places where most fear to tread, and we don't. We have no fucking idea what's going on. I'll just be honest with you. I'm 46 years old. I have no idea what reality is. I know I'm in a meat sack called Manu, but beyond that, I'm open to anything. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody. But earlier I was talking to my dad, and I spent like 2 hours on the phone with my dad, the guy that's supposed to set your reality. And he doesn't know what the fuck's going on either. And both of us are like, yeah, I believe in, he said he didn't believe in anything, but he was open to the idea of believing in any reality that is presented in front of him. And then I said, well, wouldn't it be a better thing to say that you believe in everything and that you're open to all ideas of what reality might be? But the plain and simple fact is none of us know. And we're stuck in this weird, what do they call it? What's the norm? What's a smart word for the norm? The status quo. There we go. Look at that. Came to me. We're stuck in this status quo of religion versus religion and finite thought process versus finite thought process and nation states and fiat currency. And for the last 20 years, we've been carrying these things around that record our voices and thoughts, and every day, everything. It's looking at me right now, taking pictures of me, analyzing how I speak and what I think. And I'm terrified they're coming for all of us. I think we're just all going to end up in cages someday unless we fight back against whoever's coming for us. See, that's where I'm at 46. I'm just like, I don't know what anything is. But this show explores what the fuck is going on.
And our guest just left. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, from the mysteries of consciousness to the unsettling truths lurking behind the facade of everyday life, we peel back the layers. In fact, our guest tonight is this guy, Lee Cipolla, who's a filmmaker. I met him at a party from another friend of mine named Lee, invited me to. And he's made a couple of films. He also made a short film that we're going to watch tonight. Ask him about it. I think it's a science fiction film called The Lights Over Chautauqua, 17 to 20 minutes. And then all of the fans of Dangerous Thoughts are going to get a chance to ask Lee some questions about why he made his film, what he's making now, what's on the horizon. But I did want to get into just shit I've been thinking about this week, because why do we tolerate it, Tyson? Why are all of us tolerating banking? First of all, I understand that banks only have to have, it's either 10 or 20% by law of all the, is it 10?
Yeah, it's 10.
Okay, by law, banks only have to have 10% of the cash on hand to give you back at any time. So a bank basically protects your shekels or coins or dollars or whatever, but it doesn't have to. So it can invest 90% of everything you get it in other things
repeatedly to the point where like somebody could deposit 10 grand. The bank only has to hold 100, so they loan $900 out. When they loan that $900 out, somebody might have to pay like a percentage of that to get the And
well, hold on, it's 10%, right? So if you deposit 10,
they all the way down every time. Like $1,000 can turn into $100,000 real quick, and it's fractional reserve banking. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it sounds like a rabbit hole, but it sounds dangerous to me.
Yes.
Like, why do we all believe our money is safe in the bank? Why is it that all of us look at each other and like, why do you have so much money on hand? You know that your $100 bill, just if you have $100 bill, if you spend that in the middle of Africa, they track that shit. They track all those numbers on all the $100 bills now, and they know if you've used that bill wherever you've used it. And they're tracking us to the point now where I just learned that if you send more than $600 over your phone to anybody, that's tracked. And like, they just want the poor working hard. And that's it, right? That's basically the whole shebang. What do you think?
Well, I think that's also based on the fact that they're assuming that banks deal in the billions and billions and billions of dollars typically. So, on hand, a bank usually has well over $1 million in cash. So any one person going to the bank could easily get, as much money as they want. The problem is when you think of runs on the bank, you've heard that, where everybody runs to the bank to try to get, well, if they only have 10% of the total assets of all the people, then they don't have all that money in the bank to give everybody if there's a run. So it's based on the principle that, not everybody is going to want their money on this at the same time, on the same day, at the same, because if that happens, they're screwed. But on any given day, it's usually a safe thing.
Katie,
but as far as
I have a camera, I can see my own show while I make it. I know my glasses are on my head. It's like, you got to be really old to be looking at a video of yourself with your glasses on your head and still not realize that, where are my glasses at? Oh, there they are.
I think that was payback for making fun of Tyson.
Yeah. Well, he's a weird looking fucker, and he got a weird haircut today. He got a
yeah, I did get a haircut.
He got his military going. Look at that! He's a totally different human. He's an actor. I like it. No, look,
chameleon,
Superman.
Yeah, it's quite. Do you still go out on the ships, or do you still work for the?
I don't usually. No, I don't do boat crew anymore.
No.
Yeah, I am still Coast Guard, and in fact, I'm going to have a uniform review. It's where you got to dress up in full uniform, and they inspect to make sure everything is correct.
I was going to say, so
my hair was out of.
So the Coast Guard guy did come and cut your hair.
Well, no, I just went to regular barber, but it's for that.
You chose that for the uniform thing, right? Yeah. You want to look like a normie.
So I'd be in compliance when I get looked over. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's wild. See, none of this makes any sense to me because I am, at this point, I just don't care. It's been my experience since I was a very young man that someday something was going to put me in a cage. I mean, when I was 8, the ATF and the DEA came up out of the fucking forest, like 40 miles out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and stormed my castle and took my dad off to jail for growing a plant that you smoke. It's called marijuana, right? So I've always just kind of assumed that eventually they're going to come for me if they came for him for that. And then I, like Lee Cipolla, I'm also a filmmaker, and I kind of dove into that Hollywood place or that adulting sphere where you make a business and then you get investors and you start seeing all the rules against making money that there are out there if your friends aren't rich. And yeah, I'm just fucking terrified these days. I walk around really scared of I just feel like I'm constantly breaking the law even when I'm not. But the truth is we are, because there's laws against everything. Would you agree with that, Tyson?
Well, yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. If you were to have a police officer over your shoulder 24/7, I mean, how many times are we driving in the car and we go 1 mile over the speed limit? Technically, you're breaking the law, right?
Constantly.
Or if you started walking across the street when the hand was flashing red, you broke the law. You know, there's laws out there you don't even know. I mean, law books. The California Vehicle Code is that thick, and that's just vehicle code. It's not penal code. It's not city ordinances. It's not, state or federal. I mean, you got so many laws out there that at any given time, yeah, you could be breaking or really infraction.
As an entitled American, I would like to be able, just as an entitled American, I believe, I was talking to my father earlier. I said it was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody that has a kid. Congratulations for breeding. Your kid's going to have a fucked up life because we are in for it real soon.
Nice.
Yeah. What was I thinking? Oh yeah. The lady that he was talking to, she did like a bell curve experiment. Supposedly, according to my father's friend, this is just hearsay, remember? My father's friend says that she's studied every time in history that fiat currencies have been tried before, and they all supposedly on the same bell curve collapse into fire and war and tragedy, and it doesn't work out. And apparently, America's bell curve hit right at Nixon. Basically, Nixon was sort of the peak of our society. The average American commits at least 2 felonies a day. Yeah,
it's actually 3.
Well, yeah. So Cassie, it says 3. Why do you think it's 3?
It's the amount of laws that are on the books. That's a fact. Like if you can go, anybody can go out there, Google it, search it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
the average American commits 3 felonies per day,
and 1 in 4 Americans spends time in jail or prison. So it's kind of like we are under this complete, like they can come and take you away at any time they want code. So at the end of this little speechy deechy, I'll get off of politics, but the controllers that are out there, they just want to fuck us, and we need start carrying around a copy of the Constitution in your back pocket. I don't know what else advice to give people. Study that.
The land of the free locks up more of its citizens than any other country on earth.
Yeah, and it's just freaking wrong. Yeah, I blackpilled today, Zach. I did. I'm just really scared, and I've seen the world turn from this normal place when I was a kid, like a young adult, 16 to 20-ish in high school, and where I didn't have a fucking cell phone, and nobody was watching me, and nobody was calculating my every move and studying my every thought, and I didn't leave a digital footprint everywhere I went, and they couldn't track my fucking car. And I remember when the documentary for the guy that's now sitting over there in Russia as a so-called traitor that told us this, what's his name? Snowden. That guy should be a patriot in my book. But instead, we've written a Patriot Act to spy on our own citizens and completely fuck any of our own citizens when we want to. And it seems like we're run by a super powerful, not even more than federal system that's like possibly even worldwide at this point. That's all about control and keeping us stupid and keeping us
right.
dumb.
And it's not just that. Julian Assange from WikiLeaks. There's also Chelsea Manning. There's also these people that
should be heroes.
Spill the beans. Yeah, they spill the beans on hey, this shouldn't be happening in America. Huh?
Yeah.
Gary Webb, he's one of the OGs. Gary Webb is where the memes, like if you talk about this stuff, you're gonna wind up committing suicide, 2 shots to the back of the head. That meme came from Gary Webb. That he committed suicide, 2 shots to the head.
Wasn't he one of the people that in so-called like started the Windows and all that? Wasn't that?
He was the guy who outed the fact that the CIA was trafficking crack in the 90s or cocaine.
Oh, yeah,
one of those way back then.
The whole rock into the inner city thing. CIA loves to sell drugs.
And
the federal government loves to sell drugs. If they couldn't patent and sell us all their lovely narcotics, we'd have a free for all. Everybody knows that. But it'd be lovely. I'd love to see a legal drug society where we built rehabs instead of prisons. How about that? All right, so I don't want to go too far off the deep end into Weirdville, or I'll never get hired by CIA-controlled Hollywood again. All right, everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I don't give a fuck because everybody is uptight. The normies out there creep me out too. People that don't think, the people that don't think that their life is completely fucked.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I work 60 hours a week and barely pay my bills, and my kids are gonna die real soon. Yeah, what the fuck, man? Like, what is going on? We definitely have reached a point in this country. I was watching an Ice Spice video today, just decadent as fuck, and this girl is just going, I want to be rich, and I want to shake my ass, and I want to F everybody in the A, and yeah, stack some money. I got a gun in my pocket. It was so decadent and stupid. And I went, my generation didn't do that. But then I thought back to like Madonna's Material Girl. And I went, yeah, we did. And it's been happening for a long time. Like musicians selling the public on being decadent, dumb, and stupid. And the great dumbing down of this country has been happening for a long time. And so there's no leaders like Martin Luther King's of our generation that are going to save the idiots that we all have become, because they've pretty much like dumbed us out of that being a possibility. So I'm really, sort of down in the dumps. Anyway, Lee Cipolla is our guest. We're going to bring him on. I told him we were going to bring him on 15 minutes into the show and let him say hi to everybody. I guess we should. We'll bring him on for when I told him we were going to bring him on. Let's let Lee Cipolla say hi real quick. Let's see what he looks like. And then we're going to all sit back and watch his movie for 17 to 18 minutes. It's you guys hang out, check it out. It's a sci-fi mystery about this guy that thinks he's living an everyday life and something pretty incredible happens to him. And we'll get to see how that all wraps up when you watch the film, but it's absolutely a worthwhile watch. So stick around for it. Here's Lee Cipolla, everybody. This is what he looks like. He also has a couple of feature films out there. I don't know if we put I was so wiped by the fear hole that I fell into this week that I don't know. Did we put like his IMDb in the description, or did we do anything for this week's show properly?
Well, while you're figuring that out, I'll just say hello. Thank you, Tyson and Manu. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and Mission Control Cassie over there in the corner, or at least in the corner of my screen. No, well, I can tell you this, as I introduce myself, I'm definitely not Nordic, and I know that because I'm just not good looking enough. I don't have blonde hair and blue eyes, but I am like you, Manu, I am a meat sack, so I know that much. If I'm alien or not, who knows? But no, great stuff, and I guess you guys will see a lot of the influences of sort of my thoughts on the matter in the movie.
Cool. And we're also going to bring Lee back and talk a little bit about aliens and the strangeness of what our reality might actually be. And I had to spew my hate for like the system and the politics before I got into aliens with Lee, because I was talking to him behind the scenes before the show started, and he was like, "Dude, I'm from Hollywood. I don't talk about politics in public. I'm smarter than you. Yeah, keep that shit on the down low," right? So we're going to talk about aliens instead, which is probably a smart idea. But so this is Lee's film. It's called The Lights Over Chautauqua, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And make sure to have a question for Lee after you watch it. I'll have a few. Let's do it.
All right.
Here comes the smooth transition you were talking about. I just see
blackness, honestly. I mean, I could probably make some stuff up if you want me to, but...
Talk about the day that it happened. Anything that you remember from that day.
I step into the rain.
Just 2 years ago, I was carving my path to Silicon Valley.
I'm a king.
You don't stop until you get it. And when you get it, you keep going.
I see you coming.
I wasn't like 99% of those suckers who claimed to be chasing the dream. I was doing it. But sometimes when you think you're getting it, you're actually losing everything else.
What a wretch. Champions are made. I'm a king.
I don't remember anything.
What was the last thing you remember?
I was on a run, and it's like next thing I know, I'm waking up with no idea how I got there, what happened to the last 10 hours of my life.
Okay, sir, were you drinking yesterday?
No, I was not.
Are you sure?
Okay, do you not believe
Sir,
me?
I didn't say I didn't believe you. I don't know really how you want me to report this. Let me ask you a few more questions. I need more details. Were you physically harmed? Sir? Sir?
I'll figure it out myself. Thank you. I've tried for 2 years now to find some answers. I've seen shrinks, I've seen psychologists. I got a brain scan. I don't know, I can't shake it. Here's the thing. I know that something happened because I'm not crazy, you know? It was tangible, palpable. And I got a good memory. I got nothing. Nothing on this one.
Oh, I feel for you, bro. I do. It happens to me all the time. I feel like I lost a life's worth of time with my blackout stupors. I gotta say, this sounds kind of out there. I mean, coming from a more level-headed person such as I am. You need to see a hypnotherapist.
No, I'm good.
The hell you mean you're good? You look like a walking pile of shit. And that nonsense coming out of your mouth. I could lose my reputation talking to a kook like you. I offered you a solution.
No, the company fired me. Said I was too distracted, which honestly, probably a good thing because I gotta figure all this shit out.
You look terrible. You're working yourself into the ground again.
It's not about work.
Why'd you call me?
What are we doing here, Ray?
Okay. This Stevie, do you remember the last time that we saw each other? I'm not talking about us. Something really, really bad happened to me after our conversation. Really bad. And I can't remember it, but I need help finding out who they are, what they want with me, why I was there in the first place.
What are you talking about? What happened to you?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what happened. I don't remember.
Who's they?
I don't know who they are. That's what I'm trying to figure out. All this stuff is just a blur to me. It's like a blackout. It's like I was abducted.
What are you talking about? Ray, you sound crazy right now. Hey. What is it?
Don't you fucking call me crazy, Stevie. Not you.
No,
Not you.
I'm not calling you crazy. You're just not making any sense right now, baby. You call me out of the blue. You tell me you've been abducted.
This was a horrible idea.
Ray, don't do this. Please don't do this.
I should have never called you. I shouldn't have called, okay?
Don't you always, Ray, where are you gonna go? Ray!
I just see blackness, honestly. I don't see anything. I mean, I could probably make some stuff up if you want me to, but...
Talk about the day that it happened. What happened before it happened? Anything that you remember from that day?
I remember hitting a project deadline. And then after that, I went on a run to take the edge off. That's kind of my routine.
That's it? Anything else?
No.
Are you sure?
Wait. Something else.
Can you describe it?
I'm not trying to hold you back, Ray. It's just, you're never here. And even when you are here, I can tell your mind is somewhere else. I don't...
Hello? Yeah, I put it in this morning. Should be there. Okay, see you tomorrow. If you don't like the way the things are going right now, then, I mean, what are we going to do, in 2 years or 3 years?
With me or without me, you're never going to be happy if you're always just looking that way.
I knew it was cruel. I knew it then, and I couldn't stop myself.
It's because you did want to marry Stevie, correct? Yeah. Okay, going back. So you're running through the woods, trying to take the edge off. Not because of work, but because of your conversation with Stevie.
That's right. Just doing my normal route through Chautauqua.
Okay.
I'm at my spot. I always sit when I finish my run.
This is your center of calm. Now I need you to take a deep breath. We are going to be digging deeper and deeper. I want you to feel your calm. Dig deeper and deeper.
Yes, but I see something. I'm running for miles. Miles.
Okay, yes. Following the light.
I have no idea how far I've run. I know what I see. Oh my God. Help!
You're okay, Ray.
Help! Oh my God, I want to get out of here! Please!
We're going to count down, and you'll return. 3, 2, 1.
How are you feeling?
Was I making shit up?
Don't analyze it. Okay? Let your body slowly regain feeling. I'll send the audio file. I want you to listen to it. Maybe it'll give you some more clarity.
That's going to be an intense 10-minute listen.
That was not 10 minutes. It was a little more like 3 hours.
Yes, but I see something. It's a glowing light, like an eye, looking at me. It can see me more than I can see it. I just jump off the rock and I run towards it. I don't know the direction. It just leads me somewhere where I think I need to go. Out of the woods. I have to run to keep up with it for miles and miles. Why is it going here? To this place? Feels like I'm walking into the sun. Don't know where I am. But I know what I see. Oh my God. I shouldn't be here. But I have to. Something is here for me. Waiting for me. It's like a beautiful nightmare. But it's real. To everyone I've heard, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Ray. It's me. What the hell are you doing here? How did you get here?
Stevie, what is going on right now?
Ray, it's not safe. You need to go now.
I know. I don't know how to get out of here. Stevie, where am I?
All right. I'll give you a ride. Come on. Keep your head down, Ray. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Are you? Oh my God. Snap out of it. Get down before someone sees you. Put your head down. Come on.
Got a nice place.
Yeah, money's good. What were you doing out there, Ray?
Why were you there, Stevie?
Don't you think it's time you explain something to me for a change? Come sit. Come on.
All right. See, it's like I lost like a little sliver of my life. And I don't know how it happened. It's like there was a moment where I was in one place at one time, and I woke up in a different place at another time with no recollection of anything that happened to me in between. And it's, I don't know, man. I just
I saw you on the cameras today.
That's where you work? What? Can you tell me what happened?
Whatever you think it is, whatever you think you saw, it's not that. It's government bullshit. If you're chasing ET, it's a dead end, baby.
I gotta know. I gotta know, Stevie.
Maybe you don't. Come on. You good to drive? You take the truck. Come on. Get up. Get up. Come on. Just bring it back tomorrow.
I thought you could maybe take me in the morning. Or...
You want to come in?
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Drive safe. Tyson, take. Yeah, I think we got muted by everybody. Muted by the forces above. Wow, yeah, that was gripping to me. But I was hooked the whole time. It was nice filmmaking. I liked the soundtrack and I don't know what was keeping me so attached to the story, but I think that there's something going on in reality, right? Have you seen The show on History Channel where the guys are out there at Skinwalker Ranch, Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Have you watched
that? Is that Jeremy Corbell's documentary?
No, it's that's a great documentary too, where that's wonderful. But he's talking,
I know a lot about Skinwalker Ranch, and I haven't seen that show yet, but I've read a lot.
Right. Well, the 5 super, but science as well. So the show's gone for 5 seasons now, and we know that the government spent $20 million with Bigelow Aerospace looking at that place, trying to figure out what was going on there. What it seems like on the show now, and there's this new billionaire that's looking into that place, is that some kind of orb craft, and they look like they come in different sizes, but they all seem to have this like black dot at the center and maybe some kind of ring. And they have lots of footage over the 5 years that they've been out there shooting rockets at this. What they seem to be on the verge of figuring out is that whatever these crafts are that our military is seeing and that they're seeing on Skinwalker Ranch are likely traveling through some type of Lorenzian wormhole. And a Lorenzian wormhole actually bends space-time, I believe. I'm not a physicist, just an actor, producer, artist. But I believe a Lorenzian wormhole does bend space-time. And somehow these things, whatever they are traveling through this Lorenzian wormhole that happens to exist on that ranch. And that these are also, if the Skinwalker Ranch has gone to this new show called Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, where these guys are going to all these different places around the world where they're getting the same readings and they're seeing what appears to be almost like They Live. Do you remember in They Live, if you put the sunglasses on, you could see the aliens walking around controlling us? And if they had this little thing on their watch, that they could click. And if they clicked it, they would drop through a little hole to where there was a city built right within our city on a different dimensional plane. And so on some of these shows on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, they're at like military installations or they're close to them. And their mapping software from their drones and from their underground mapping software is seeing tunnels and structures of some kind that they can see on the property, on these like farmers' property out in the middle of nowhere. The structures are there, but when they blow up the dynamite and they get deep underground to try to see what the heck it is, it's not. So it's like, it may be possible that whole They Live reality is happening right next door to us on a different plane that some of our tech is starting to be able to observe, but not touch. And so it's fascinating to me. And I'm sorry, Lee, but I want to fill you in on, I don't know when you started to get into this type of storyline and UFOs and abductions, but I've got a couple of good stories for you. One, when I was 30, and this is where my real fascination with taking UFOs and UAPs and extraterrestrials and the idea that our reality has something to do with them seriously. I was 30 years old. I was sitting at an event at a dinner party for Uhura from Star Trek, Nichelle Nichols. And they happened to sit me right next to Buzz Aldrin. And so there's the guy literally on my left that went to the frickin' moon, right? And I'm busy at that time.
So we all think, right?
So we all think, right? Yeah. So I'm reading this book called Betty and Barney Lou, the abduction story, Betty and Barney Hill. At the time,
big inspiration for this, by the way, as you can see, the black.
Yeah, the missing time thing.
Loss of time. Yep, and therapy as well.
Yeah, we just had another loss of time here.
Yeah, just now we had a little time blurb that happened. So Skinwalker Dennis says that.
I don't think that was.
I don't either. Okay, so I'll tell you what really. This is going to go all the way to schizophrenic break when I finish this story, but I'll try to shorten the steps to that place. I'm talking to Buzz, and so I say to him, "Hey, when you went to the moon, I'm trying to think of reasons to touch the guy because it's closest to the moon I think that I'll ever get. I'm trying to high five him and shake his hand, talk to him as much as I can. But I say, hey, Buzz,
you know, when you went up to the moon and all that, did any aliens follow you up there, or you ever see anything weird outside of your ship? And dead serious as he can be, without skipping a beat. Yeah, they followed us there, and we saw them while we were on the moon, and they followed us back. And I think, you know, yeah, like, and I thought he was pulling my leg. So I'm like,
you were 30.
I was 30 years old.
Yeah, you're 30, and you're 6 years old.
No, I wasn't a kid. I was 30 years old. So I'm like, wait a second. This is the guy that fucking stood on the moon telling me aliens are real. And happy Father's Day, everybody. Hi, Dad. So I try to get a little more info, and he says, yeah, I'm going to NASA right now with Nichelle Nichols when this event is over. They were headed to a think tank at NASA where Buzz was trying to, over the dinner, this is the gist of what I got. He was trying to tell the heads of the think tank that he was going to with Nichelle that they needed to colonize Mars, and that as soon as we colonized Mars and we had a bus system between here and Mars, and that the extraterrestrials could see that we were multiplanetarial and we were making that next evolutionary leap, that they would talk to us more often. And he's looking me right in the eyes. And he says that, so I think once we have the bus system up, they'll approach us and we'll have much more real conversation with them.
It's a lot like the Prime Directive in Star Trek, right? You don't talk to a civilization until they're warp capable, right? So it's something like that. Like you don't interfere with the civilization that's too young, but once they're multiplanetary, they're now traveling out into space, and now's the time we need to have a formal arrangement or whatever.
And it really seems like that's going on. And when I was 30, I was just kind of dipping my toe in the Kool-Aid because I was, as a kid, I have experiences, memories of seeing things and aliens in the 80s. There's a lot of abductions going on in that time period. Whitley Strieber, Communion, and all those books were coming out.
Yes.
And I was living out in the boonies. I remember seeing aliens. My mom remembers seeing aliens. I've told it so many times on the show, I don't want to tell it again. But we saw them. But they were child memories. So I was like, but once the guy that went to the moon said, yeah, they're real. They're watching us. We want to talk to them more. I was like, okay, I gotta figure this out. I gotta learn more about this.
Yeah, and that's pretty wild. I mean, that's pretty convincing stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Buzz. Yeah.
I've got nothing on that level. But you know, I've had a lot of inspirations. I think, well, just to go back, like I wasn't, you know, raised in a super religious family.
Me either.
Not a religious family at all. But my parents were very spiritual. They were hippies. They were very open-minded. So they were religious in another way. But they very much preached for us to have open minds as kids growing up. And I grew up in the 80s. So it's funny you said that because there was a lot of stuff going on then. But, you know, in terms of religion, like my first real experience of being in a church, or I've gone to, you know, I've been in, you know, Sunday, you know, Bible readings and stuff like that. But I went to a Quaker school when I was in 7th grade. And I remember sitting down and, the kind of the general breakdown of Quakerism is everyone has their own path to God. And I remember, which is something that my parents were okay with. And but when I sat in the room, and so we would, before school started, we would sit in the chapel all together with everyone from the school. And it didn't matter what your religion was. You would just sat and you had 30 minutes of prayer. And you could do whatever you wanted in that 30 minutes, even if it just means like staring around the room. And that's kind of what I did, because I was like looking at, someone who was Muslim and this. And I was like, but the bottom line was like, I looked at everybody's different manner of talking to, the creator. And I said, I dig that. Because I kind of, it's not a, I hate to make it feel like a cop out, but I'm sort of open-minded to everything.
Me too.
And that's, what I bring into this is like, I believe a lot of things could be true. The only thing I don't believe in is that we're alone in the universe, because it doesn't really make any sense at all. This little rock, and we're just here, and we've developed all these things, and there's just, there's nobody else. There's not any sort of living organism out there. It's just very hard to believe. And if
Jodie Foster's character in Contact, remember, if there is, that's an awful waste of space. I love that.
Yes, Carl Sagan, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that movie. I know people have some strong opinions about it, but I love the idea of science versus religion. I think that's like, you see it a lot. There's a little bit of it in Arrival as well. But yeah, that movie's a huge, huge influence. Sort of the paradoxical elements in that movie with the, you know, with in Contact. But so my father, being super open-minded and a hippie and everything, he is a very pragmatic guy when it comes down to it. He's a very see it to believe it kind of person. In 1986, I was 3 years old. And so I was there when it happened, but I don't remember a thing, unfortunately. So I was like, I was there for the party, but I don't remember it. It's like story of my life. But he was driving home. We were with the whole family. My sister was like a year and a half older, and my mom was there. So my mom also tells the same story. But we lived in this rural upstate New York home, and we were driving off the highway, off the Taconic, and the way my dad describes it is that he was driving towards his house and he saw what he thought was just like a series of lights. It looked like Christmas lights, he always says, but they were like red, white, and blue. And they were right over his house. And as he got closer, he saw it was like kind of right over the driveway of his home. He drove into the driveway and he got out and he looked up and he said it was, you know, maybe 50 feet up in the air, right over them. And they looked like a trapezoid connected by the lights. But in the middle of the craft it was just completely transparent, and he could see up to the stars. And it didn't make any noise. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it was like
silent.
It made very, very silent. And of course, my dad, being my dad, he jumped out and he was like, "Hey, what's going on, dude? Yo!" Calling it in. And then he said it hovered over them for a few minutes, and he ran to next door to the neighbor. And this was like middle of the night. So like my mom's like, "Don't wake him up, don't wake him up." And he runs across the street, knocks on the door. The neighbor gets out. And as soon as the neighbor gets out, the craft just zipped away, not a sound. And the next about a week later, he was at the convenience store, and an article came out in the newspaper that they were testing military craft. This is a very, very kind of common story, like that you know. But this is 1986, so this is what they were putting out there. My dad was like, "There's just no way." He's like, the only thing that could be quiet and kind of hover over that without that noise is a blimp. And he's like, this was no
blimp.
No fucking blimp. But here's the thing is that this is from 1986, and I'm now 41 years old, and he's told this story exactly the same every single time. And
he's one of millions of people that have had similar experiences.
Yes. So, you know, that's the personal experience. I've had a couple of other things that have happened that have been interesting. Like that my parents found me a couple of times, more than once, in the garage. Like, we had a garage that was not connected to our house up in upstate New York. And they said they found me in the garage lying in the middle of the night with blood coming out of my nose. And they never knew what happened. And I did hypnotherapy for the first time about 3 years ago. Again, these are all influences into Lights of Chautauqua, kind of like an amalgamation of all these things. But when I had the hypnotherapy session, it was really weird because I came into it like open-minded, but kind of, you know, I don't want to say like skeptical, but more just see it to believe it. And as I was going through the hypnosis, I was like, oh, I'm conscious. I know what's going on. I always figured, like, you see it on the movies and stuff, and you think people just like get warped into this. They're completely hypnotized, and they're like off in a different universe. But when
didn't happen to me either.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen that way. You're kind of conscious, but you're like sort of like a different version of yourself.
Yeah, like an observer. You're chill. You're having the memory, but you're not gone.
Yeah, and chill is definitely not something I am in my normal life. So when I was chill, it's like my highest version. I also like talked in a way that was like not monotone, but there wasn't like a lot of filled pauses and what's like stumbling and all that stuff. And so, but I just told the story of what happened in the garage. And
right when he gets to the story, they fucking zap him. Sorry that you just got zapped.
This is not a coincidence.
I know it isn't. You got zapped quiet again. So all right, you're in the garage.
So yeah, so my story that I looked at the hypnotherapy recording. I'll give you the condensed version, but basically, I walk into the garage and there is a boy that I talk to in the garage, and he has scars over him, and basically he was being abused by his father, and basically asking for help. And so it was essentially like his ghost, but it was like the people who lived there before us, that like there was a boy that like, and his father would take him out to the garage and took him out to the woodshed. So like it's really really interesting, and I felt like there was definitely if it was real or not. That's not something that was like in my subconscious, or maybe it was in my subconscious, but it was not a story that I kind of conjured up in my head over the years. They're like, oh, that could be a possibility. It was a ghost. No, I just, like, my parents found me, you know. So I was vicariously sort of living through that boy's pain, the bloody nose and all of that stuff. So it's interesting. So look, I'm open minded to that maybe these are, hypnotherapy is just pulling from your subconscious about like your worst nightmares, and you kind of put it all together. But to me, it's just too much of a coincidence for this stuff to just be some science-based explanation.
It's very odd because I did a hypnotherapy session too, but not for alien stuff. I was too scared to look at that. But there was one time when I was a kid where I thought I saw a ghost. I was in a house. There were no kids there. I was like 5 or 6 years old. And so it's one of those old memories that you just can't trust it, right? But I remember it. And the long and short of it is I walked up to the top of these stairs with this kid who like tapped me on the shoulder while I was watching Sesame Street or whatever I was watching. And he wanted to play a game called Buck and Bronco. And I was up in this room that had one window and a black coat hanging on, like a black trench coat hanging on a hook. And there was a mattress, just like a old, dirty, fucking nasty looking mattress. And that was all that was in the room. And the kid got on all fours and I got on his back. And he was like 13, older than me. I was 5. He was like an older kid. So I was stoked to hang out with him. I was like, I'm getting to hang out with the older guy. And he bucked me off really hard and I hit the floor. And my memory is hitting the floor, looking at him like, oh, why did you do that to me? Let's not play that rough. And then I looked over and I have this real clear memory of that trench coat floating off that wall and coming towards me. And I looked back at the kid like we're going to run. And I have a clear memory of the kid just smiling at me like, this is what this is, man, and it's like a horror movie in my head, but I know that it happened. And I ran down the stairs and I ran down the hallway where my mom was and I hugged her and I was crying. And I blocked this memory out for years until I'll just be honest about it. I was on acid when I was like 16 or 17, laying in my bedroom in my mom's house going to high school. And this memory came back to me of this whole thing. The kid, the Buck and Bronco, when the fucking trench coat got over to me, a real low voice or a telepathic voice went, "Get out of here." Like full on horror movie voice, Like, I don't know. I don't remember if I heard it or it was just like a message. And I ran from that. So I go to my mom and I go, I just had the most bizarre memory. You've got to, tell me if this was real. And she said that at that time, they were hippies too. We were on the road. My dad used to grow weed in Idaho. The feds came and took my house. Put my dad in jail. Me and my mom went on the run. We were in the little VW everywhere, right? Full on hippie communes, campgrounds, rainbow gatherings. That's my life. She said that at the time we were on the road and we were staying with this couple that was letting us stay there for a few weeks because they were about to move out because they had seen ghosts of a 13-year-old boy and a couple other kids in their basement a couple of times. Both the husband and the wife had seen this. And in that house, like 13 years before that, there was a mass suicide of 3 teenagers in the upstairs bedroom. And she said, you might have been hanging out with one of those kids for all. It's
like that movie, the Amityville Horror. There was just like generations of
sickness in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The souls are they're stuck there.
Yeah. And it's possible as a child, when you don't know the rules, maybe you're a little more willing to see that shit than we would be now as adults that have been told that you can't see that.
The imaginary friends are not imaginary.
Yeah.
We're just more open to it when we're children because we're not conditioned to close that all off. But look, I hear very similar stories all the time. It's too much of a coincidence not to be true. I mean, I definitely have ghost stories too, and it's funny because we're just starting this, and it's like I also look at myself as very pragmatic. If I hear a story, I'm just kind of open to, it could be true, it could be not. I like to poke holes in logic, but again, I'm open to all things being true. And so my stories, I was doing the shift, which was my prior feature. It was about a couple of nurses in an ER, and we used the old Los Angeles hospital, which was, I think it was
that's a creepy place. The USC Medical Center?
That's the one, yes.
Yeah, man.
So we actually used it. I believe they had built the new one in front of it. Maybe like 5 years before or something like that. My timeline, but it was very soon after they had, but they never knocked it down. They just
it's still there. A lot of people died there. Yeah.
Yes.
a lot of people.
So we had this great deal where we could use it, and we had like a student film, rental price. But we had to we could only shoot like 3 days a week, and then we had, but basically there was like 17 floors. And the top 13 were not in use anymore, but the first couple were used as office spaces. And they had just a bunch of, there's people working, doing files and stuff but they were kind of like generally moving everything into the new hospital. So, long story short, we got to use the hospital, but it was not obviously a functioning hospital anymore, but they didn't clean it up and get rid of. So there's all these old utensils and file cases and stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, go ahead and shoot on whatever floor you want. And, just you can use the stuff that was there. And this is a low budget film. So we were like, oh, we'll just use the props that are already existing. And so over Christmas break, we shot in January. And over Christmas break, I worked with a set decorator to just kind of pull all the props from different places and set decorate, right? And so we were again low budget, so we were just me and her. And actually, she wanted me somebody to come over Christmas break because there was nobody else on crew during the winter break. And so I just did my directing work and stuff while there because she was creeped out. Like we were pulling out some weird stuff. Like a couple of things I can tell you. We were the old doctor's offices. One thing that was kind of creepy to me is we were looking through the bookshelves of an old doctor's office, and I pulled away some of the books, and behind it there was this little tiny room that was just hidden behind the bookshelf. You pulled the door open, and there was a little tiny door, little tiny room, maybe 4 feet in height, and it was literally just a room. There was nothing stored in there. So I was like, a small child could fit in there, but that's about it. Why was that there? I don't know. Something that was more direct on the nose creepy is I pulled up some old paperwork that had Satan images on it. Someone had drawn. It was just doodled, but it was definitely really satanic, like the ram horns and stuff like that. So whatever, it could have just been people doodling, but it just happened to be on this person's desk. And also, just a lot of old patient files and stuff. People are long deceased, but rusty utensils and all that kind of thing. So anyway, I'll get to the meat and potatoes of this story. So I was working in the ER, and this woman who was the set decorator, she would, she was going through all the rooms on the hall. The hall was massive, the whole floor was massive. Basically, it would take about 15 minutes if you jogged from one side to the other. That's how big this was. So she didn't want to be there alone, but she was going into the different rooms, and she knew I was in the ER, so if anything happened, she could just call me really quickly and run over. So one night I'm like, well, I thought it was still daytime, and I'm sitting there working in the ER, and it's a lot of time had passed. I could my bones were a little creaky, and I was like, wait, I've been here for a while.
How long have I been here?
Yeah, when you've like sat up from the computer for after a long time being when you're like, well, it's been like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And I hadn't heard from her. So I was like, I called her and she was like, oh, Lee, I left like 5-6 hours ago. I said goodbye, but you didn't look up. And I was like, oh, I just got into work and, she had left. So I look out the window, it's night. So it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I admit I was a little creeped out that I was there by myself now. So I kind of like, I put some stuff in my bag and I quickly, walked out of there and I was going down the hallway. And as I was getting to the elevator, I had to cross a whole corridor. And as I was going through, I heard like a little boy laughing. And definitely, but it was a joyful.
Still creepy. But
it was like a kid on a playground playing with his friend and they were messing around. Yeah, but it was definitely a boy giggling. And here it is. We're getting interrupted again, right?
We're getting interrupted again as soon as we get to the real.
We got something. Only when I talk. No, but yeah. So, but it was. I definitely. It was and the first thought I had was like, it's maybe. It sounded like it was pretty close, but it could have been out in the parking lot or whatever. But it was like the thought hit me. I was like, there's nobody around this hospital at night. Like it's there's like a security guard or two, but not kids playing in the parking lot. So anyway, I just said to myself, I'm like, you're freaking yourself out. This is this is all mental, whatever. I did kind of jog out of there, but I was like, this is all bullshit. So I let it go. Told my wife about it, but we just kind of laughed it off. But the next day, my producer called me. And then I had told her the story or whatever, but she called me and her voice was definitely stressed. And she was like, Lee, can you tell me like what you heard again? I was like, oh, it sounded like a kid laughing, but I'm like, it was bullshit. I was making it up in my head because I was all freaked out about being alone. And she goes, Lee, I just talked to the fire marshal who was helping us out with the film. And they said there's a couple of voices that they hear on that particular floor, and one of them is a little boy. And so this is a fire marshal or whatever. So that it was definitely one of the
the commonly heard stories of the
little boy laughing like he's on. I said, oh. So here it gets even like weirder. So we shot there for about a month. And a couple weeks into the shoot, I had this dream that we were finishing shooting, and then suddenly everyone started running off set because people were freaked out by something, right? And it just, so everyone's like, trying to get into the elevator and get up. And how dreams are, like when you're getting chased and like all of a sudden you're probably, I'm slow in real life, but like I'm moving like molasses like this. I'm definitely, and I don't know what I'm running from, right? And I'm just like hauling ass. I jump into the elevator, and the elevator, it's just like in the movies where it's like not closing. Then finally starts to close, and I hear the footsteps, and this little blonde boy steps in front of the elevator, and he looked at me, and it was like not, like he didn't like have like a demonic face or scary face or anything, but the vibe that I got was like, look, he didn't say this, but it was just the look and the feeling I got was like, do what you got to do, but don't hang around here.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Get it done.
That was the vibe. And there's one last part to that story, not to drag it on, but it is interesting.
No, it is. That's why I haven't cut you off.
So this was not a dream. The last day of filming, we wrapped, and I go into the elevator, and I press. We were shooting, I think, on the 3rd or 4th floor. I can't remember, but I was pressing the garage, and the button for the garage turned on. The elevator doors closed, but then I went up. I didn't go down. I went up, but there was no button pressed up, and I was like, oh, there's someone on an upstairs floor. That was getting on, but like how, usually you don't, the button, the buttons don't light on if you're going down, right? If you press,
pressed the down button.
I had pressed the garage button, it had lit up, but it still went up.
It still
you know
went
what I'm
up.
saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So, and it went up to the, there's no longer like 13th floors on like in hospitals and stuff like because of the superstition.
Most buildings, yeah.
So, but I think it was the next floor up, the 14th floor. Door opened, nobody got in, door closed. So not like the craziest thing, but kind of weird. And I told my producer, and they were like, the 14th floor was an insane asylum. Was when when the hospital was functioning. So I don't know. I mean, so all these things happen. It sounds like a lot of like mumbo jumbo,
all right.
but
no, it's not. It's not. Let me I'll try a little bit of a bow on it because I'm with you here. Where, all right, I told you the story about the buzz and all that. Now we got into the paranormal the other day, and I'm talking about the very fabric of reality we're talking about here. That was a nut place. Maybe it was a crazy little kid. Who knows what all the stuff that could have happened in that hospital over the years. It's also a very weird design and a very creepy looking building. But
yes,
the other day, so this is where I think I'm having a full schizophrenic break. I'm talking to my wife, and she looks up at me and she said she has seizures. They've been getting worse lately. She had them under control for a number of years there, so we thought we were over it and we had the right medication. And she's begun to have them over these last year and a half. She's talking to me about her great-great-grandfather, and her great-great-grandfather was a Mason. And we had just watched some sort of documentary on Queen Elizabeth and the Rothschilds and the history of, and I stood up and I said, Valerie, I got to talk to you. I'm 46. I've been doing this show called Dangerous Thoughts for a year now, looking into the fabric of reality with a lot of different people. And I'm pretty sure that there's some kind of alien tech and there's people in charge that have been in charge forever. And she looks up at me and she goes, Manu, you don't understand, do you? And I went, what? And she goes, I'm a I think she said Palladian. And I went, a what? And I understand this whole thing because I'm hip to the UAP thing. But she goes, no, I actually have Palladian DNA inside me. And she goes, my family was actually, I'm like 600 people away from being Queen of England. If you killed all these people, I would be, and she goes, my great-great-grandfather, I don't know because I'm a girl and I've sort of been left out of the loop. But she goes, there's a reason my father gave you my great-great-grandfather's Masonic books. Now, Buzz Aldrin is also a 33-degree Mason. The secret schools of this earth will teach you weird things about the fabric of reality. And Valerie's telling me this, and she's saying, there's a reason that my father gave you those books. He wants you to read those books. Like, those are books you shouldn't have. And she goes, and my grandfather was part alien, and we all knew this, and my whole family has known this. And she goes, I want to show you a picture of him. And she stood up and she walked over to try to open the drawer and get a picture of Granddad. And as she was pulling the picture out to kind of tell me, this is my alien grandfather, his DNA was closer to the, I don't want to get into the whole history of mankind. But anyway, she was in the family of elite secret school people until 2 generations ago, when great-granddad fucked up, sold his oil wealth, became an alcoholic, did a bunch of fucked up things, and they kind of kicked him out of the secret club. And now her family was like multi-millionaires back then. There's still some wealth there, but it's not near what it was 2 generations ago. And as soon as she starts to tell me some more, she starts going, and she says when she has a seizure that she'll hear like white noise, like a TV. And it makes her go, oh no. So she goes, oh, seizure, 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 seizure. And she starts repeating the word. She drops down to her knees. I've taught her that over the years of dealing with these things. She knows now when it's coming, and she'll get down to her knees. But she had the worst seizure this time. I'll try to just explain it real quick. I try to grab onto her, and I'm going, baby, don't pass out. Breathe. Pump your fists. Pump your arms. Like, don't go. And she's going, and her head drops. And when her head drops, she goes into this like death rattle snore where she's making this horrible, I don't know if she's coming back.
sort of noises. It's terrible. And when she came back this time, her head popped up and her eyes were wide open, and she started tick-tocking like back and forth like this. And the whole time she's tick-tocking, she's looking right at me and she's going, I can't stop it. And she's going, ding, 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 ding. And I'm kind of holding her and going, oh, fuck. Like, come on, baby, you can. And finally she comes back. She recalibrates after having this seizure. And just like you said, the couple times that our screen has seizured over the program, she goes, see, Manu, every time I try to tell, they turn me off. That was the first words out of her mouth after the seizure. Now, after that, her head cleared up a little bit. But for me, that's like so strange that she's telling me about her alien ancestry and the genetic code in her DNA and the secrets of her secret Masonic school that her grandfather was a part of. And right then she goes cold. To me, believing that that had something to do with an alien ray is taking one step off to schizophrenia, but it's still, I have not been able to stop thinking about it. And I basically said when she came back to her body, she also says when she comes back from her seizures, I can never say the word. It's like I should work on it. But she says it when she recalibrates, she has to identify again who she is. Oh, I'm Valerie. Oh, this is Earth. Oh, and then like I saw in your movie, he was looking up the Mandela effect. She always
you
never
caught that. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Very observant.
Well, she says it's like that. She says when she gets back in her body, she doesn't know if this is the Earth where like is it Coke? Is it Pepsi? Like she doesn't know if she's in the same place that she left. Like if there's such thing as a multiverse, and there's a multiverse where I ended the show right now, and there's a multiverse where I just took the headphones off and walked upstairs, and all those things exist. She doesn't, when she recalibrates, she wonders if she jumped multiversal reality. She always has to, she wonders that's part of the experience of septimal epilepsy is what we think she's going through. But like to round and very strange because we are these weird little avatar meat sacks that we put all this identity and we call ourselves Tyson and Lee and Manu, we are exactly the same thing. There's no difference at all. We're humans. We're made up of the same shit. We've got gray matter. We're the same fucking thing, except we walk around with these like I'm Lee and I'm Manu and I'm Tyson and you know, create. I think we are much more amoeba-like than we could ever imagine. I like to entertain the reality that the biggest thing keeping mankind and humankind apart is this idea of separation that really doesn't exist. I think we're more of an amoeba in the real reality. I look in Tyson's eyes and I look in your eyes and I see me. I don't see some other thing, you know. And
I'll just say that I think individuality and how we've kind of evolved to that with technology.
Oh shit!
And the look at me culture and
yeah.
It also could be, I think it's worldwide, but it's very American. And I had a very unique, profound experience visiting my wife's country. She's from Colombia. And, you hear a lot when people travel to third world countries, they kind of change perspective. But I think my experience was looking at it as, because there's a lot of pain and trauma in that country. There's been a lot of genocide and that kind of thing, just like our country, but kind of on a different level with dictatorship and everything. But
little less entitlement over there. Yeah,
just a little bit. But what really hit me was the collective consciousness there. First of all, you go there and it really feels like you're walking into the 90s. They have a lot of old they still sell like old walkies and Walkman or Walkmans, things like that. You know, I mean, they have phones and stuff like that. They have, you know, cell phones and Instagram and all that shit. But it's also like a lot of older architecture, so it's kind of refreshing that way. It's like, which is interesting. Cool. But the collective consciousness is, maybe because there's been a dictatorship and everything, everyone kind of lives to survive and they work together. It feels like the community is, everyone's kind of helping. One example of that is like here, everyone is feels like we're all competing to be number one. All these self-help books and everything is all driving you to be the best version of yourself and to be number one, or to really get, you know,
I'm gonna maximize
better
truck, better
money,
house.
Maximize, yes, things, all these things, get everything you want. And most people, I don't want to say most people, a lot of people want material things. So that's kind of like, oh, I want my boat, I want my yacht, I want this. There's not, it's the drive for money is a lot different. It's really survival, family oriented. But one example I wanted to bring up is like, you know, I love coffee. And you know, Columbia is a great place for that. But you'll go to a mall and there'll be literally 5 coffee shops lined up, like, you know, on the same block, right? And you go to one, they're all different businesses. You go to one and they'll say, what do you want? And, you know, I might say, I want a latte and my wife wants a green tea. And they'll say, that place will say, we make really great lattes, but if you really want good green tea, go to this business across the street or the one right next to us.
Yeah.
They share. And I think that kind of is a microcosm of what I felt when I was there. And it's interesting because I live in Colorado. I live in a really nice neighborhood. It's like my wife calls it the Truman Show. You walk outside, it feels like a movie set. It's beautiful. It's clean. You would think it's, you know, but I just wanted to say that, you know, being in Columbia, it's, you know, where we were in Bogota, and then her mom lives in a small city called Tunja. And there's just random guys walking around on the corner with an AK-47, and but I never felt in danger. Like, you know, and I walk around here, and there's always something in the back of my mind that, you know,
fear.
Yeah, there's something that, you know, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's just like here, it's just a security and everything. But I didn't feel that there. Even I just felt like any sort of, and that's how she's explained it too. Like when she got robbed as a child, just at a bus stop, and I was like, wow, that's horrible. She's like, well, actually, the guy robbed me. The guy robbed her with a knife, right? Mm-hmm. And held it to her. She gave the guy money, and the guy he asked her how much the bus fee was.
Oh, how much is the bus fee? Let me give you.
Yes.
Wow,
and so
that's amazing.
I'm not condoning this sort of behavior, but there's something
there's something there.
There's sort of a practicality to what their crime is, right? And there's horrible stuff. Again, it's not. I'm not condoning it, but the idea that the violence and the war, there's just sort of like more of a specific reason why it all happens, and here there's just more senseless violence. But anyway,
I was just reading on CNN in Aurora, Colorado, 2 people dressed up like delivery drivers knocked on a door, and they opened the door, and it was a robbery. They went inside, and they actually choked 2 of the children that were there. Choked them. Like,
choked them to
they
death?
ended up having to go. Not to death, no. They ended up going to the hospital. They were okay, but the parents were saying, like, why did they have to hurt the children? Like, we would have given them, you know, what they wanted. We were, you know, why did they have to hurt the children? And when you talk about the story about, you know, your wife when she was at the bus stop, the guy had the decency to leave her with enough money to get home on the bus, right? And then here in Colorado, you know, they come in and they'll throttle little kids.
Yeah, I've seen some horrible. Yeah, you ever watch Joe Kenda? Homicide Hunter. Oh my God. Yeah. It's not just Colorado, but it's America in general is kind of what I'm talking about.
I just happened to see the news story, so that's why.
Yeah. Let me also say to finish this off, and then we'll take some questions for Lee. I know we're going overtime again. Always my fault. But I saw that in Thailand. That's just all I'll say. I was in Phuket before the wave hit and after the wave hit. And within like a year's time, my father was there after the wave hit, and it was like 6 months after that place was totaled. Those people got together, and it was beautiful and spotless, and it was Phuket again.
New Orleans gets hit 20
right?
years. Yeah, community.
I was just thinking that. Yes.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Americans won't pick up a shovel or a hammer nail and let's put this place back together. Like we want to, we got this sense of entitlement. There's my lovely alien girlfriend calling me now. So let's take some callers. Hey, baby, you didn't have a seizure, did you? Okay, I got to go. I got the show on. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll see you soon. Okay, let's take some callers. Do we have a couple questions for Lee before we shut this show down?
We do have people on the line, but I'm going to ask the first question. Lee,
yeah, go for it.
In the movie we just saw, which, by the way, I loved. That was a beautiful, beautiful 17 minutes. I feel like there was something that Stevie, something with his job, something like he knows more than he's telling. Is that right? Is that the sense you were supposed to leave us with? Because that's what I felt.
1000%. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Stevie's in the club.
Yes. Which is interesting because usually these stories are like on one side or the other, or like they're just following the perspective of the person that's getting abducted, or not so much on the other side. But this is both, and this happens to be two people in a relationship that can't really talk about what happened, especially in Stevie's case. But yes, absolutely.
I'm going to follow this because I got to see the rest of that.
Where did you watch? What year did you make this short?
Oh my God, I almost don't want to say because when I was watching it, I was like, wow, so much time has passed. But I made it when I first moved to Colorado, which was the end of 2019.
Okay.
So
well, by the way, Lee's got a couple features coming out. This summer, he did a baseball movie with Judd Hirsch called I always forget
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps is coming out soon. A baseball movie.
Very
baseball movie.
Very different from Lights Over Chautauqua.
But it looked really cool. I saw the trailer at this party we went to. Rally Caps. Everybody should check out Lee. And what was the movie you made in the hospital with?
So that was back
with
in 2000,
Danny Glover.
Back in 2012. It's a movie called The Shift, and it's about two nurses in an overnight shift.
Cool.
Kind of warring ideas on euthanasia. Very interesting film, written by an actual ER nurse that based on a lot of his experiences. So, very neorealism. That was kind of like I don't want to say the height of neorealism, but that was my foray into it. And so, very different projects. My projects are always very different in concept and backdrop, but I guess there's a through line of, relationships,
You were touching on something. It reminded me, I don't know if you've seen the show that Ben Stiller made a couple years later, but it was called Severance.
Yes, I have. I've seen the first season. Is the second season out? I don't know. But
no, I wish it was. I mean, that was such a good show. But it reminded me a little bit of that. I like that idea of.
Thank you. That's a great compliment. But
you don't get to know what I do at work.
Yeah. So this was actually supposed to be a first part of a series. Sort of like a proof of concept, and then we turned it to a short film. But it's very open ended. So what you were saying, that ending and wanting to know more, really wanted
that was on purpose.
Yep. And so there was we had some interested companies that were gonna. Then the pandemic hit like within 6 months after we wrapped it up, and so all that kind of
and then
by the wayside, unfortunately. But
Ben Stiller probably caught your short at a festival somewhere. And he turned it into Severance.
That hack, man. He stole my idea. Oh my God. No, but no, when I watched the first episode of Severance, I was like, oh my God. This is my jam, man. Like,
you were on that same. I find that in creativity of all sorts, books, TV, whatever, there is an idea out there that someone's going to make it. If you have that idea and you're like, if you don't make it happen, the universe will. I've had that happen to me many times.
It's so funny. A couple of weeks ago, some woman told me that just randomly. I mean, she was very spiritual or whatever. But she was like, she basically said, because I was saying I had all these, I had these ideas I wanted to do or whatever, and I was kind of pushing them off. And she said, basically, she was like, you've got to do your ideas because those are gifts from angels that are giving you the information. It's like she's a hairdresser, and she's like really famous hairdresser, and she's like, we're very she's she's very popular in her neck of the woods. But she's like, oh, and she brags about it, but she's like, that's not me bragging about me. It's the angels doing the work through me. That's what she believes. Also, there's a really great book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. And he also believes in that idea that it's a book for writers.
But you're a conduit of some kind.
Exactly. Yeah. But basically her point was that these ideas, if you don't do them, someone else it's gonna be given to someone else. So you're not fucking special. You're just a 230 pound, or in my case, a 230 pound, bag of meat.
Avatar, meat sack. Yeah.
Meat sack. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you guys. I clicked something, but can you?
What's the name of the book again? Yeah, I can still see you.
It's called The War of Art.
The Roar of Art.
By Stephen Pressfield. It's a great book. You could read it on a short plane ride. It's written for writers, but it's really anyone who's a creator. And to push back past what we call resistance, and like writers, that resistance is just basically your excuses for not creating something or procrastinating. It's all called like resistance. Why you don't get up in the morning and write that book that you wanted to write, a screenplay, or start that business that you wanted to do. And it's a really it's a fascinating read.
Cool.
I'm really sorry. I think I lost you guys. My vision.
You can't see, but you can hear us still.
Exactly.
All right. So, well, let's take a couple more.
I can
questions.
give, but I can't receive.
Okay.
If you hit Control Tab, that should
I'm back
through your window.
Awesome.
There you go.
I didn't do that. Was that Mala? Is that how you say your name?
Mala.
Mala. Yeah, okay, thanks for the advice. I didn't do what you did, but I got lucky. But I think it was just your energy that
just switched it.
That's what it was. She brings it.
1000%.
So I wanted to ask one major question right off the bat. Do we have permission to show that clip on the show just to avoid any copyright issues? Because I did try to watch it on what I think it's Vimeo, but it was password locked.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I can. I don't know if we can send out a link. It's on Amazon Prime. That you can watch. So if you have Amazon Prime, it's free. But maybe there's a way I can get a non-protected link. But it's up on a lot of different platforms, and I can get that shared to the group so you can watch it for free. On one of them, so maybe I could do that with you, Cassie. But yeah, and then you can watch the full resolution version on one of these. I think the one I sent. I also have like the screener thing. Sorry about that, guys, for the annoying watermark on it. It was like an old screener.
It didn't bother me, man. I it was very gripping. You did a really good job of keeping us wanting to know more. I wish that would have sold for you, but it's cool as a short as it is. I really enjoyed the film. I didn't think I was going to enjoy the film as much as I did, because you never know about shorts, No offense to you. You just never know if a short's going to be captivating or not. And I was captivated. Mala,
thank you.
Yeah, Instant's a good little short for sure. I'm so super proud of that movie. People should watch Instant as well. What did you have another question, Mala, for Lee?
I just had one more question for Lee, and that is why Chautauqua? And I only asked because I'm a Western New York girl, so I'm kind of like hometown pride, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Is there a Chautauqua, New York?
Yes. Is that a different Chautauqua?
Oh my God! So I'm actually from New York, so I'm just like,
and you didn't.
I feel like a total fraud right now. But
no, down by Jamestown.
Yes, actually, I did know that. It's like back in my stuff, but I should know it. I should be more familiar with that. But yeah, it's actually Chautauqua, and there's a mountain. It's near the Flatirons, or it is the Flatirons, basically, in Boulder, Colorado, and that's what it's like. So, like at the beginning when he's jogging and on the, he sits on the rocks and he looks up at the sky and everything. That rock and that place was actually like a place I used to visit all the time, and so definitely an inspiration for it. But yeah, Chautauqua Mountain in Boulder, but yeah, so that's definitely the inspiration for it. I know it's kind of hard to pronounce, but I always just thought it was a really cool name. And then it just, I don't know, the short was very much a stream of consciousness, the way it all came together, but it was an amalgamation of all these, things that were these dangerous thoughts I was having.
Yeah, I liked it.
Well done.
Yeah. I also just oh, Chuck's here. Cool. That's great. Is that your only question? I gotta take. Yeah, we got to end this show soon. Chuck, how are you, buddy? That's
Thank
my
you.
guy.
Thanks for the question. Thank you.
Chuck is actually a friend of mine
on,
from high school who's tuned in again. This
Arroyo Grande.
Yeah.
Arroyo Grande. Yep.
I went to drama school with this kid, this old man now here. Well, look at us, man. We're old.
We had theater in high school, man. Eagle Theater. Yeah. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, Lee, man, I'm not as super familiar with your work, but I just had a general question for your work. What's your favorite film you've ever worked on? So maybe I can look up something. What's the one you love the most? The one you really thought was your best work?
Does this count? Like, okay, so ones that I directed and wrote and was like had a prominent.
Yeah, all of them
include projects that I was a PA on.
I think it's fair to say what was your best film experience, because I've been honestly I've done some big stuff. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I have, and some of my favorite experiences were on shit that not many people have seen.
For sure, there's so many different experiences, especially in the film world. It's a crazy place for sure. Great question. I just assumed you're asking like what's your favorite movie, and it's like I was
give me like
prepared,
one movie title.
Yes. Well, just because we talked about it, I was a PA on Marley and Me, and that was an amazing experience in Miami because there was like, now, by the way, there's like 100 dogs that play Marley. I also got to meet Jennifer Aniston and Owen Wilson. And quick story, Owen Wilson's dog like attacked me. I'm okay. I'm fine. I like he attacked me from his trailer because I went in to like deliver some paperwork, and like his dog jumped out of his trailer and like attacked me. But I remembered that like when a dog attacks you, you got to just pick up something and like try to separate yourself. So I picked up a box that was lying around. And luckily, I'm fine. So don't worry. There's no lawsuit.
What kind of dog was it?
Oh my God! It was this was 2008.
Was it like a danger? I don't know.
No offense to Owen, but that dog was a scraggly motherfucker, and a mean one. Kind of like looked like a Brillo pad.
6-pound Chihuahua.
Like a what do they call those? Pyrenees, or what do they call them? The ones that real hairy ones?
Look up the story and like learn it was a puppy. I got attacked by a puppy and I got scared shitless. But anyway,
those are vicious. Those little things, those little Brillo pads.
Yeah, no, it was intimidating.
It sounds like a Bichon, but I'll have to look.
But it didn't get to me and it didn't bite me. But what's funny is that like it created a big kind of ruckus, and there's everyone was coming out of their trailers, and there was the producers and stuff, and the crowd. And then this woman comes running out into the everyone was kind of like watching me, kind of scared and stagnant or whatever, and this woman comes running out of the pack, and it's Jennifer Aniston, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, I mean, like, oh," and I'm like, "Oh, and actually, I think I'm a little hurt." So I got an extra hug at it. A lot of crazy. I'm sorry to be.
No, give me the year. Give me the year of that movie.
I think it was released in 2000. So the Christmas of 2008 or 2009. I think it was Christmas 2008, and so we shot it in Miami and Pennsylvania in early 2008. But that was just incredible. It was probably the biggest movie I've worked on.
Was it one of? It wasn't one of the prop dogs. It was his real dog.
Oh no, it was his real dog. He was
good movie. Thank you.
It's great movie. But so that wasn't a personal movie that I made. So if you want to. In terms of projects that I've worked on, I mean, it's just so tough. It's kind of like, trying to pick one of your children. And I think, some parents definitely might pick a child, but like, it's hard to choose, like, you love them for different reasons, but kind of equally. But I'll just say, I mean, Chautauqua, watching it again, it's, because when you're making feature films and you're raising money and it's business, there's a lot of business at stakes. I know that.
Was that it?
That looks like it. Definitely could be him.
That was his dog in 2009.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Okay, that's a decent sized dog right there.
Yeah, I guess it was big.
Yeah.
It was fucking.
I mean, he's stretched out, so he definitely. But yeah, yeah.
But I
wanted to see if I could find it. I found it.
But yeah, Chuck. Like I think like I love Chautauqua because when you're working on the bigger projects, there's a lot of that goes into it, and it's when you're doing short films, you could be more free to be experimental and more stream of consciousness and try things that you might not try in a feature. And that's watching this movie again, it reminded me that like, hey, this is something I could take a shot on, and maybe because I'm such a sort of pragmatic creative that like I would have been nervous to do this for the feature film with a lot of money and a lot of things at stakes, a lot of things at stake. So what was really cool was being able to experiment and play in this world, and work with the two main actors who I think are phenomenal. They're very different types of actors. Hayden Winston played Stevie, and he's very natural, just completely relies on instincts. He's also a very hardworking actor too, but he's just very, relies on his instincts. And Austin Collazo, who played Ray, is more of he's more of a student of the craft, and everything is more strategic. And so, being able to work, being able to play with the actors in the proverbial sandbox and let them work it, like they improved the script a lot. And I'm not saying like the script was a complete waste of time, but there was a lot more expositional dialogue, especially when it came to the science stuff. In that last scene, basically Stevie pretty much says it all in exposition that he works for the basically the Men in Black or whatever, and he kind of spells it out. And Hayden was just like, I don't think I would ever say this. This is the only thing I need to say. And this, those are just great things that happen when it's more spontaneous and you're working with more freedom, and not having to stick to a script. So it really was. And this is why I wanted to share it. When I, got the opportunity to be a part of this podcast, was like, that was the one we wanted to do, because it was like really something that I could be free on. So this is definitely, like I said, they're all children, they're all your babies. But this is, why I like to over Chautauqua was a special experience for me.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for your question, man. Good to see you, dude.
Thanks, Chuck. Nice to meet you, man.
This thing, I don't think people understand out there how hard it is to make movies. I don't think, unless you actually try to make one, even a short.
That's a whole nother conversation, and it's insane. You got to be insane to make.
You have to be completely insane. Yeah,
because basically you have to go and get the golden goose, raise money, make a film. It takes a village, and you do all of this, and then at the end, there's very little guarantee that you'll ever make money or even get distribution. So it's like it's a beautiful disease, that us artists get. But it's always worth it. No matter how crazy it is, it's always worth it. And it's like just like moments like this when I'm able to sort of share this experience with all you guys from watching this. How people process it, how it makes them think about things. That's really what makes it worth it, and why you sacrifice your life to do it. People from outside of the industry look at the red carpets and money, but that's
baloney.
It's less than 0.5% of working filmmakers have that kind of lifestyle. The rest of them, well, everyone's working hard.
Everyone's busting their ass, but there's 3% are getting paid well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But everyone's busting their ass for sure. 99% perspiration.
Yeah. All right, who's next?
That would be me.
Dave.
Dave Prime.
Yeah, thanks for being with us, Lee. I come from a television production background, so I always have to think the big picture and everything. For that 17-minute movie, it's like, how many hours did you spend in post-production to put that together?
Always a great question. And this is when independent filmmakers collectively bitch about not getting a budget or getting all the resources. By the way, every filmmaker will say that they've been shortened on resources on some level or another. They're always going to complain. I listened to an interview with a guy who made a $20 million horror movie. And he was like, that $20 million was barely anything to make. Guillermo del Toro, when he made the Oscar-winning movie a few years ago,
The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water. Yeah, he's like, Warner Brothers only gave me like 25 million, and so it's all relative. But to circle back to your question, what I always remember when you're making low budget movies is where you don't have the resources to do some of the things that you want production wise. If you're not on a timetable in post, and you have all the time that you really utilize that freedom of time to make the edit as good as you can. And that's really where you can catch up to the bigger guys and make making your work and crafting it perfectly, spending that extra because usually you're not delivering, you have a deadline, you have to deliver to a studio, you're being rushed to make a movie in 3 months because it's got to be released in Christmas. So as I've grown older and I do these smaller projects, that's really where I try to. That's where time is the greatest gift. And so with Chautauqua, like the only thing is that we were submitting it to like a sci-fi festival in LA. So there was the first cut, but I went back to it and I edited more, yeah, all in all, probably. And of course, I was working a full-time job, so I wasn't working every day, but it took about a month and a half. But I started as an editor really. And so that's how as a director, I see movies. I tend to think that like I'm always thinking about what coverage is necessary and what's not. Seeing the movie sort of edited in your head, but also knowing that I want to get a lot of coverage because when I get into the editing room, I want to try a lot of different things until it really gels together. So I do spend a good amount of time. Editing is not one thing that I like to rush. Not that you like to rush anything, but that's one thing where you just don't do it. Production is enough of a rush. You have to shoot a certain amount of time and days, but yeah. So we cut for about a month and a half, and that's really like I'm putting all the hours together. If I was working 12 hours a day, so it would be a month and a half of work, and that's obviously for a short film.
Yeah, I can feel that because covering multiple high school football games, we had less than 90 minutes to edit like 8 football games together and crunch it into like 7
my God.
minutes.
Yeah, like live time game.
I don't know how people do that. That's
like sitting in a control room and trying to like pick the right shot at the right time and having such little room for error.
It's like a conductor. It's like an orchestra conducctor.
You're working under real pressure, okay?
Yeah.
What I do is bullshit compared to what you do.
Yeah, but with the movie itself, I could really relate to Ray because that's why I have this now. So I've been going to AA meetings.
Is that the Illuminati?
No, it's
Illuminati AA coin.
Yeah, but no, saying I've been.
There's Illuminati folks in the AA.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
You'll meet some of them. They're there.
AA doesn't discriminate.
No. But yeah, 29 days sober. Everyone remembers that first Sunday.
Yeah.
No, God bless, man. Good job.
Yeah, good job. I'm coming to a meeting with you on Friday. I'm down. I'm gonna
right on. But when that experience, that 4-foot secret room that you found at the hospital in LA, I wrote down I put it in the chat just like maybe that was like a secret timeout room that it might have been that
just for him
child
to
spirit that you saw. He might have been a kid that kept on getting shoved in that room when he was being unruly and was put into timeout.
Maybe it was the doctor. Yeah, when he goes to work, you don't get in trouble. I'll put you in the fucking closet. Ooh, creepy.
That's what we kind of collectively thought about that, like they were throwing kids in there.
Yeah,
who knows? But
the last thing my last thing you're talking about getting attacked by a dog. I got attacked by a pit bull while doing medical deliveries. That's what I did before I moved here to Colorado Springs. 1 year tomorrow. Yay. But yeah, say when you said the boxing, that's what I did. I say it was only like a 8-9 pound box medication. I was just trying to fend off the dog, but the dog was still able to get around and chomp me right in the hand.
No.
Yeah. Fortunately, he missed the tendons, but I mean, I could see the tendons. He bit deep enough, so like.
Oh, all dogs know I'm a good person, so I just never get attacked.
That's the only dog I got attacked by.
We froze for a little bit, but the last thing I heard is he got chomped on the hand. So
yeah, he had like real tendon stuff showing.
Yeah, but a bit between the tendons. I mean, I was just damn lucky.
You missed Manu's little quip about being greater than thou.
Yeah, you know, there'll be another.
No, I think we got 2 more speakers, or 1 more speaker, or 2 more speakers.
Yeah,
so
yes,
I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Zach, how you doing,
thanks
man?
so much, man.
Hey, great comments during the show, Zach. I appreciate it.
Shadow Zach.
Awesome.
The host is supposed to say shit like subscribe and like and all that. I'm sorry, YouTube family. Please do like and subscribe to our channel if you're enjoying the show. We are trying to, in fact, we are really trying to get that to happen. And there's a whole army of fans that are trying to shadow ban us and that like are buying followers for us to try to get us screwed and attacking us on X. This guy Dave the Torontonian, if he even exists, and all his friends are really trying to keep this show down, and they're spending money to try to keep us shut up. So fight against them and like and subscribe. Zach, thank you for that, and go ahead and ask your question, man. Shadow Zach.
I don't really have I'm the Shadow Man. I don't really have a question. I honestly, I love movies that like draw you in, and like just 17 minutes. I mean, in the way that it ended, like it draws me into wanting more. It's like fantastic job on it. So I love the little cliffhanger at the end that keeps you like wanting more. So
I love Lee. I don't know, but I love all films that end with letting the audience decide what the ending actually is. And I know you were trying to maybe go series direction. I don't know if I'm having sound issues or it's just all.
No, you're good.
Okay.
First of all, Zach, thank you, my brother. Appreciate the comment, and I'm glad you dug it. I think always to kind of echo what you're saying, Manu. I think that like I love a good cliffhanger, but I also like don't want it to be a cop out either. I also don't like explanations. So you're trying to find that like happy medium of being just mysterious enough where people have to like go a little like 10 or 15% more than what is being explained to kind of to put the pieces together, but not in a way where it's like, okay, like it's just completely ambiguous for no reason.
No.
And then
that was what was so wonderful about Severance, which kind of reminded me that it was the similarities and the idea. It did such a good job every 10 minutes or so of giving you another little piece of information that you're craving.
Right, like the
10 episodes, the breadcrumbs,
but in a way that's not like a House of Cards, or like they're just stringing you along. It feels like they're gonna.
There's a real. You really want an answer to that story, and it better be good. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And then look, I think that in any backdrop, it's a cliche, but every great story has to have something primal between humans, whether it's love or faith or something like that, that's really tying it all together. Because if it's just about the science, or just about this, or like if Jurassic Park was just about dinosaurs, like it would be fun for 10 minutes, and then it would be like, okay, dinosaurs eating people, like what's really going on, the human factor. So this is always something that I aspire to try to the heart of the story has to be what's happening between the humans involved or the beings involved.
God, I'm really good looking. I just
did I bore you that much for that one? But
I just checked myself out in the camera. I'm like, damn,
you are not quite a Nordic. You're not a Nordic.
Yeah,
yet,
not quite a Nordic. Yeah, it's one of those like likable, sexy, but not Nordic.
Who's the best looking person here is Zach. I mean,
Zach is a good-looking dude, no doubt.
Tall, dark, and
no doubt.
Tall, dark, and
Tall,
mysterious.
dark, and handsome. Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
And everyone,
See, I get in trouble when I say he looks good, but then other people can say it, and geez.
Well, you say it with the lights on. I just know that. All right,
He's a little more subtle.
We have one more.
Katie.
Thank you, guys.
Our last question. Thanks, Zach. Thanks for tuning in, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Katie.
Where are you?
Yeah,
it's evening here.
No, it's just gone 4 a.m. here. I'm in England.
Oh my goodness, 4 a.m. Well, we appreciate the commitment here.
Have a sip of my Monster Energy drink. There you go.
Yeah.
It probably sent me to sleep.
Caffeine puts you to sleep, huh?
Well, it certainly don't keep me awake.
Well, we run on this stuff. I can tell that me and Lee are similar guys. I like coffee and caffeine too. But without it, I think I would be constantly sleeping.
Yeah, I don't really have caffeine highs anymore, but I still drink it.
Constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm jealous of people who sleep.
I'm sorry. Your body and the suffering that you go through. Katie has like what is it? What is it? Some kind of horrible neuropathy?
I have extreme chronic insomnia. I'm awake for like 5 days in a row, and then I only like a couple of hours sleep either side. And yeah, that's why I struggle to brain and form words a lot of the time.
So, in terms of your energy levels, is it like, because I know someone who sleeps claims to sleep once or twice a month, but he says he doesn't need more than a couple hours here and there, and he's kind of fine. But I don't know if he's just crazy or what. What is your energy level like?
Is he on Adderall? I mean, how do you stay up?
Maybe. I think I just realized that as I was saying it, so I was like, maybe let's switch gears here. No, but is it? Your 5 days. Are you exhausted, like zombie like?
I can be. I go downhill, and then I get a bit loopy. I get on a high, and then I crash, but I still don't sleep. That's on day 3 into 4, and then that's when I start getting people laughing at me because I do really silly things. And I forget the names of things. I mean, I've got fibromyalgia as well, so that adds to it. And yeah, it's a fun ride.
Fibromyalgia seems to be a name they've come up with when they just don't know what the fuck is going on with you, and so basically, they call it back.
Yeah, it's all to do with the central nervous system. It's completely screwed up.
Okay, so there is some science behind fibromyalgia. It's not just their cop out. It's a real thing. My lady has some similar problems, and then her mother deals with I think she has fibromyalgia as well. Sounds horrible, but I always think it's amazing that dealing with all that, you're able to still enjoy this existence and put on a smile and join us every 4 a.m.
Yeah, for what it's worth, you look super healthy. And
you don't look like you're dying yet. So.
The camera is kind.
Yeah. Do you have a good final question for us? Did you watch the film?
Oh, I did it. I got so emotional watching it. I really felt for him, because for reasons I'm not going into, I have periods of lost time in my life, and it really hit me that. And then at the end as well, I'm just like, there needs to be a sequel, or this needs to be a feature-length movie, because this is just brilliant.
You can't leave it there. I'm in agreement with Katie. I mean, it was so good. I was so pulled in that now I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going to happen next? Like you get us addicted, and then
go find.
You're not even selling it on the corner.
Hulu.
Don't tease me unless you're going to please me.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Everybody. Yeah,
so
Netflix.
This whole podcast has just been leading up to me being a hypocrite and a fraud, because I said I don't want things that leave you open-ended for no reason, whatever. But look, we definitely, the idea was to have a series, or definitely a continuation of this. there's been some conversations to kind of come back and just make a feature, basically with the same guys, but have it set like years later. So the story that we were going to tell, just tell it, but like a few years later, because a few years passed, which would be sort of interesting to have like kind of a boyhood sort of real aging of the actors. Yeah, I mean, it was set up to have multiple episodes, and there is a destination in sight. But no, thank you so much for saying that. And, I really appreciate the, you wanting to see more. That's definitely the idea. But I also feel like I've let people down because I did leave some things open-ended and they need to be fulfilled for it to be really a completed piece, So it's like, I haven't earned the stripes yet.
That's the thing I always feel as an artist too. So I think you're not alone in that respect. I always feel like I still haven't made that thing that I look at as a finished piece of film or a finished song or a finished anything that I go, that's the movie that I was supposed to make, the story that I was supposed to tell. That has not happened to me yet.
Well, as they say, art is never finished. It's just abandoned.
I still, yeah, it's true. It's true. It was K-Pax.
K-Pax is one of my absolute favorite because by the end, it's Kevin Spacey. And at the very end, you don't know if there really was an alien or not. I mean, because, he knows things he shouldn't know as a human. I mean, how did the TV cut out right before he was going to leave? He couldn't have done that as a human. But at the same time, I guess it could all technically be explained if he was just human. Yeah. So it kind of leaves you I've heard both sides. People think, there was alien, or no, he was just a savant the whole time. Who knows?
Am I the only one that just heard the static? Was it just me?
No, I heard it.
That was Chuck Pearson turning his microphone on.
Okay. I saw him smiling.
I got him, though. I got him.
Sneaky Chuck.
You sure did, Sneaky Chuck. I saw him smiling over there. He was going, and I'm like, why is he so... What's happening there? Because I was looking around at where that noise came from. Lee, thank you so much for sharing your film. I hope everybody.
Thank you, Katie, for your for
definitely
and for watching. And everyone for your questions.
Also, go to dangerousthoughts.show and check out Katie's blog. She's posting up there all the time stuff that she's thinking about doing and living, and her thoughts on life. Check out Katie's blog. Like Zach says, smash the like and subscribe button. And we're going to all check out Rally Caps when it hits the theaters or Amazon or wherever it ends up. I think Judd Hirsch is a legend, and I'm excited that you got to make a film with him, and especially a coming age movie. I love baseball movies, so looking forward to seeing that as well. Everybody check out Rally Caps. Everybody keep questioning reality and authority and all those things that keep you locked in your sphere of boring, and dance on the edge with us next time on Dangerous Thoughts.
Sembrava prima vista tanto per benino, si offre a far da guida per la città. Pedro, praticamente il meglio di Santa Fe. Pedro, fidati di... Take it to him, ruining motivation to survive. Our side is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the way. Hey, gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Take it to him, ruining motivation to survive. Our side is like a jungle holding rest of a nation. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the way. Hey, gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Hey.